Welcome. Just getting everything set up here. There we go, lightening it up and giving everyone an opportunity to join per usual. We will do all messages for right now until the chat gets to where I need to do just priority messages, basically. That brightened it. Oh, welcome, Irene. Welcome, beautiful. Welcome, 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 my dear. Just taking a moment and allowing anyone else to join that would like to join. I'm so happy to see you as well, beautiful. So happy. Always such an honor to have such beautiful and powerful sisters and brothers. Good morning, Corey. Good morning, good morning. Welcome, beautiful souls. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just letting everyone drop in. Super excited to share this with everyone today. This was extremely powerful. There was so much work. Like, there was so much work that there was so much play that was taking place in the astral etheric last night. And this is where all of this is coming in from. And there was a sister in my group space that was experiencing some aspects that were very similar to this. And I could feel where it was connecting in. And what's been happening just in the last like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, my body has been like, my cells have been clearing. I had all this mucus come out. I was coughing. My throat was scratchy, and I could feel where everything was accelerating and deconstructing, reconstructing. It's like it's already begun. So super, super, super excited to have everyone here. And I know that here lately we've had a lot drop in from the collective, and there's been a lot of collective energy, and I actually end up feeling there's so much, like, because I calibrate everything through the heart for all of these collective offerings. For anything that is public, I'm always calibrating. So I would invite everyone that's here, especially because I feel like those that are here are those that are on this path and have an understanding of what is here now. I would invite you to anchor through your awareness, just anchoring your light, just as if you are a pillar and you are anchoring yourself into a foundation. And I'm inviting you to do this because if we do have some collective energies pour in, it would just be of great service to further assist the calibration. So thank you. Hey, bud. You cannot have my rattle, and that is my water bottle. He's like obsessed with rattle in my water bottle. He's like, what are these weird things? So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm feeling that very much. Thank you. And I want to share a little bit about what we're moving through and allow each and every one of you to dial into this, because this was the guidance that I was given. These are disruptors so basically those of us that are embodying are disruptors. We are octaves of attunement that disrupt and reorganize. Now, you guys have heard me speak into the importance of understanding that there is a difference between receiving information on electric waves and receiving through octaves of initiation. This came through, it was very, very beautiful. This came through in my group where a sister who has not, she's fairly recent to the group space, was reflecting this exact experience. The feeling of it is different. Now, why am I saying this? Why am I bringing this in now? Because as we receive and as we integrate and as we embody, in order for us to truly disrupt, in order for us to truly embody, and in order for us to truly be initiated into these octaves, there has to be a continual interference or a continual exchange of those frequencies. So a lot of times now simultaneously, when we gather like this as a collective or in a group space or even in one-on-ones, I'm feeling like it's more guided towards group and collective gathering. So we are disrupting those electric waves. We are disrupting the frequencies of distorted information. The biggest message, and especially because this transmission is about the reconstruction of time, real time is consciousness. And so in order for conscious time, in order for true reality, in order for the truth of all that is to come in and be experienced, we ourselves must be in a place of receptivity. And of course, in this now moment, the place of receptivity is where I'm guiding. So I'm guiding and directing through what I am, where I am frequentially, where I am experiencing, and also through the octaves themselves, the frequencies. A lot of times we see things. This is also coming in with the reconstruction. We see images, the messages that, again, these are just amazing conversations that I've been having in the group space. What's been coming through in regards to what we see and how we experience time is that the images that we see is coming through projection. The only reason and the only way that you can understand images is because you've seen them before. Just like when you retain information from books. When you retain information from books, even diagrams, the geometric disruptors, a lot of these, we don't have words for them. We've never seen them because we've never experienced them. Therefore, what we see with our physical eyes and what we experience through our physical body is limited. So if you're used to retaining information and you're used to seeing images based on the information that you have retained, you're going to begin noticing, especially if you continuously interact with that which I offer, that it's going to begin diminishing because words are limited. Words are limited. Even as I'm expressing now, you're receiving words, but you're most importantly receiving what's below, beneath, and within the words, which is the frequency, the vibration itself. So as I'm speaking, you're feeling. And you're understanding based on what you feel. This is the case for any offering from any soul. Anytime you receive in such a way, you receive the vibrational frequency from where they are. This is also important since we're talking about time and consciousness. We have opportunities to speak and express from information tones, and we have opportunities to speak and express from conscious tones, which is a different set of frequencies. They vibrate, they express, and they are experienced in different ways. The disruptors are pure tones. They're pure. And the only way that a soul can embody the pure tones and experience the pure time consciousness is if they have let go of how they retain. So we are being guided to view internally. Now, we know this, right? We know this. Because when we close our eyes and we go on these journeys, we're viewing with our eyes closed. The reason why we see how we see with our eyes closed is because we're not solely reliant upon physical vision. But the third eye vision is also very muddled because images are still projections. Okay, images are projections. It's like a it's a projector. That's what your eyes are actually projecting your reality back to you. And that's based on what you think, what you feel, what you believe. It's a construct. You have created a holographic experience through your own holographic understanding. So it seems very, very real because the cells and the way the dimensionality works in such density is all of this is contained within a physical dynamic. What I am expressing and what I am guiding you through is beyond physical. It is not images. It is frequency. These are diagrams, if you will. They are holographic, geometric shapes. These are the disruptors. And so I want you to take a moment and just receive this and understand this through how you feel it. Because a lot of times when certain words are heard, images will be projected before the actual experience happens. It doesn't mean that you're not having the experience, and it doesn't mean that it's not true. It just simply means that it never goes beyond that. You might think that it is because you have retained such information. You understand what a tree is because in the physical or in a book, you've seen a picture. So how do you understand what certain frequencies are when certain names are said? When you see, okay, let's use for instance, Mother Mary or Mary Magdalene. There is such a convoluted image there because we are basing what we know of her and what we know of both, I say her, simultaneous, unified of them, on images that have been shared through stories, most notably teachings, of course, the Bible and others. But their true form isn't just their physical representation in this realm. The octaves of Magdalene are cosmic, and they are not always in form. So we must allow ourselves to honor, yes, to honor the images, but to also recognize that beneath the images, there are frequencies, there are tones, there are geometric structures that build the hologram. They're all frequencies, they're all waves, they're all light waves. If you were to project your image as a hologram, which it is, and you were to walk through the hologram, disrupting the picture, as soon as you got through, everything would reconstruct itself back to the original form. This is because the information that's being given to create that image is contained within a specific structure, meaning it's defined in a certain way. So that definition projects the image. Does this make sense to everyone? The definition projects the image. So if you are retaining information based on definition, based on what you've read, based on what you've understood through the mind, not through feeling, there is a different experience. It doesn't mean that it's not true. It just means that the depth at which it is experienced, it can only go so far. So with these disruptors, we are experiencing through pure tone. And pure tone, it's not image. It's not individuality. It's not definition. It's not a singular word that gives you a definition. It's a word that is a prompt of an activation, and that's it. Just like when we say, the biggest one that I've witnessed recently, especially since I brought through Anunnaki, is where a lot are still referring to Anunnaki in the old world teachings based on what they understand. And that's fine. That's a point of reference. But my invitation to you is to expand outside of this. It's going to be difficult for this to happen independently through gatherings such as this completely. But it is a beautiful beginning. And the reason why I say this is because I've really, really witnessed the importance of having a space where where octaves of initiation can be reflected. It's a very, very powerful place to be, because if we're not at a place of understanding through continual repetition or continual access, then we have a tendency to still kind of share disinformation. Especially if we're receiving from a lot of places all the time, all at once, and a lot of that is being shared through information waves, retaining of information. So the importance that I'm sharing, and the reason why I'm sharing it, is that when you are in a space and you have a frequential container that is able to continue, and this could be any space, but you have a container where it is able to continuously ascend an octave based on initiation, then you yourself are continuously connecting into a space of other mirrors that are continuously ascending, and that are continuously ascending an octave, and that are ascending through tone, not memory information, or information memory, shall we say, not the retaining of information, but the experience of the vibration and the frequencies themselves of consciousness. A lot of times we get we're overburdened with information. We're overburdened with what we need to do and how we need to understand, or how we need to learn. And when we begin understanding, and not really learning, but I'll use that, through consciousness, it's an experience of how the cells vibrate. It's an experience of how the vibration is continuously shifting and changing. It's an experience of how we ourselves are continuously changing. But because we usually have a focal point that's scattered, right? It's scattered. We're going and we're doing. We're always going and doing. We're always going and interacting. And I want to share this really quickly before we shift. I also say this because I had a conversation with a dear sister, a very powerful sister, a very powerful channel, and she was moving through some shifts. And I was able to mirror back to her where the remembrance was holding her captive, and where this was happening from Lemurian. And the Lemurian aspect was in sorrow, shadow. And because of this, there was not an ability to rise an octave of embodiment. But the way that it was being perceived through her was in connection with her relationship, her marriage. So the mirror had not fully been able to turn within to see where the embodiment wasn't able to rise an octave. This is the importance, and this is a sister that's a part of my group space, and it's important to have that connection, because it also allows us to understand that sometimes the way that we're viewing isn't always allowing. And when you have an opportunity to have that type of connection, regardless of where it's at and who it's with, so long as you have a continual, I really feel called to say group, but a continual mirror. Because when you have a group, you have multiple versions of mirrors. And if they're all within the same agreement, then that makes it really, really powerful, because they're in an agreement of consciousness. So, and if that agreement is able to evolve through initiations of consciousness, so too does the mirror. Makes it very, very powerful. But even if it is just an individualized mirror, it's going to give you a reflection. And this was very, very important, because since then, she reflected back to me the intensity at which she has progressed in embodiment, and the intensity in which she is bringing things through for the collective, what she's been bringing through for some offerings that are present that many of us are connected into. And it's a very, 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 very valuable aspect of internal witnessing, because as we shift into this is what is going to be at the forefront, is how you view. How you view. How you view is the main line of disruption. The main line. So if your view is always distorted, if it is always entangled, meaning those that you exchange with are not bringing you into a higher octave of embodiment. You might be exchanging information, but it doesn't mean that you're ascending in octaves of embodiment. It's very different. Okay. So all of this right now is important because it's where we're at. It's where we are at. It's also where, if this is where we are at, this means this is what's available. It's what's available for you. It's what's available through you. Doesn't necessarily mean that we always witness that or answer that. I mean, I know this absolutely because I have missed these mirrors so many times. And this was because my focus was so honed in on a very specific thing, or maybe one or two things. So I hope that this is providing resonance for each of you. I really do. I hope that this that has come through is sitting with you in a way that you are able to understand, that you are able to feel, that you are able to understand. We will eventually get to a space in where we are not even using words. This is why the information lines are being disrupted even right now. And let's say even if you have put down books and you're not taking in books or teachings, you've still retained what you believe is connected into those teachings. This is why having an opportunity to come into such exchanges, even this, is very, very, very powerful, because it is an opportunity to step into witness of pure frequency, of pure tone, without the continual receiving of information or feeling like you have to be witnessed because what you received was not, it wasn't enough for you to witness. And I want everyone to honor that for a moment. Oh, welcome, beautiful sister. I'm so glad you're able to join live. Sometimes we get so caught up in having others see us that even when we're viewing ourselves from internally, we're still viewing in the same way. This is why, again, I'm going to drop this in before we shift. Allowing yourself an opportunity to shift your disruption, to shift how you disrupt, to shift how you view. So this is how we are stepping into things now. So I would invite you to just take a deep breath. For my own, just to provide some personal insight as to why this is so important. My physical eyes have begun shifting to where I'm actually seeing dimensionality in the physical. When I view words, I see dimensionality. I see the hologram. When I'm actually viewing right now, even when my eyes are closed or even my eyes are open, I see the hologram. I see the dimensionality. It has always been present for me with my eyes closed, but with my eyes open now, it's already begun. So this is the next step in our evolution, I feel. It's our true sight, where we are not barred by illusion, which is the projection of the mind. And there's still so many, we're still projecting, because everything that you see in your environment is a projection. It's based on what you've retained, and you continuously project it unconsciously. Even if you don't think you are, you are. Your environment, the trees, and how you see the trees, and how you see water, and how you see animals. It's all retained information. And it's been there. It's been programmed into you since you were born, since before you were born. In order for you to come into a vessel that can experience this reality, you must have everything conditioned into that which you are going to, everything that you're going to experience is conditioned. It's programmed into you. Well, it's programmed, and then you have continual conditioning on top of that. So even what you see with your physical eyes is a projection. It's not the true hologram. And so if you are continuously getting caught up with your physical reality, even if you go to places in the physical and you travel, this was also part of that the sister's activation that came through. Was I told her, I said, you know, your inner child, the shadow child aspect of your inner child has been pulling you into traveling. You've been traveling, you've been going, you've been doing only to distract you from that which was needing illumination. Sometimes we end up going and doing and traveling and gritting because we feel like we have to. But gritting happens through the presence of where we are now. By the time we make it to a place in the physical, we are simply receiving a reverberation of our own attunement. That's it. Because what's in the physical, again, is still a projected illusion. It doesn't mean that it's not sacred. It doesn't mean that the sacredness is not still present. It doesn't mean that we don't connect into it. But if you are more drawn to being in a place of continual investment outside of yourself, I can guarantee you there are aspects of shadow that have not been illuminated, because a channel can still be accessed in all the brilliant, beautiful information lines, all the psychic lines. Everything that's being shared is being shared through multiple tones right now. It's being shared through information tones. It's being shared through pure tones. It's being shared through projected reality and pure consciousness. And so because the clairs can dial in to both, they can receive the words and the information. That's what they do. They're transmitters of information. That's what the clairs are. They're transmitters of information directly connected into the brain. And because they're directly connected into the brain, they're able to receive that which is on those frequency ranges, which is again why it's so important that you are choosing to continuously rise an octave of initiation. The initiation of the octaves is what gives the clairs an opportunity to experience different frequencies. And this is, of course, when we shift into this, why you're going to hear me expressing multitudes of dialects and tones like I normally do. Those are master calibrations, and they're very advanced, and they're mastered in a way that allows an experience to come through in pure wavelength, in pure frequency. So, with that being said, let us jump in. I know there was a lot here at the beginning to receive, and I want there to be an understanding that I'm not just sharing information. What I'm sharing is everything that's here now that was needing to be witnessed prior to this experience, to give an expansiveness to the experience. Because as it is being expressed from lines of consciousness, there can be an understanding of the words on a deeper tone, on a deeper level. So please allow yourself to begin dropping into the heart. And see, as we're doing this, I'm feeling where the collective, where a lot of us are accessing heart, but not expansiveness. I'm feeling this because as I'm going to breathe, immediately it feels like I can't get a full breath. I'm feeling the containment of it, if you will. And what this is reflecting to me is the importance, again, of why everything was guided and came through in the way that it did. What I'm receiving is that many of you have received so much of yourselves, so much. but you have not fully embodied or expanded within it because there is not yet a deeper understanding of what that really means. And again, I feel like this is also why that invitation, because you guys know I've gotten away from the invitation to join spaces or anything like that. If it's aligned always. But I can see why it came through when there is so much here for so many of you to experience, and it's just not being tapped into in a way that is giving that expansiveness. But at the same time, simultaneously, there is so much ascension and evolution taking place. I'm not negating that. Please know. Please know. What I'm feeling is that each of you have reached a line of time that is now available for you to ascend above, which of course would be also why this is being dropped in now. But it can not only just come from one offering. It must be a continual agreement. This is definitely going to increase, catapult you. Allow yourself to take a moment and view any attachments that you may hold. The question is coming in, why are you choosing to interact with those that you're interacting with? Even what led you here? What was your guiding focal point? What was the reason? What was the purpose? Why are you choosing? Is it because you feel that you need to understand, more? That's what I'm feeling. A need to understand. That if only I could have this understanding, then I could be more. I could grow, I could expand. But the need to understand is coming from the mind. The need to understand is a declaration that the understanding is not in motion through you in every now moment. Understanding is feeling. And if you are absorbed in needing to have a connection, needing for someone to hear your voice, needing to have a specific recognition, that line of focus is always and ever a cycle, and it will repeat and repeat and repeat. And you will always and never be chasing yourself through others. Never truly finding that which you are seeking. Although, with the internal collecting of information, it will feel as though you're being filled up. Well, you are. But you are being filled up with frequencies that are looping in on themselves, not expanding within themselves. Which means there's a cap, energetically, and there is no expansion that is available beyond that. We do not embody through words or information. We embody by moving into a state of connection that is pure and that is consciousness. For the body is within the light. And there must be a continual connection, a continual exchange of pure octaves so that there can be a continual expansion within the initiation of octaves. If the soul is only being initiated through themselves, there is no reference point for higher. Or even if those initiations are based in a tone that is able to move higher in octave. But it is important, it is vital that the soul also take time away from all others to understand that which it is. So I am also feeling where there is a fear of missing out for a lot of you. Where the joining of groups and circles is because you feel like you need to be there. Because you will miss. And for others, there is a fear of joining. And a fear that there is nothing to be gained, or it will be the same, that there is nothing special. Understanding that anytime you join a space, you should always dial into what the agreement is. What is the energy exchange? So if you're continuously taking in exchanges with others, then you have not moved through the Maria Sotayoka, the scent, the taste, the vibration, the frequency of all that you are. Meaning you do not know yourself as anything other than your connection through others. You have not understand what your sovereign sacred light is, where your authority resides. Simultaneously, once this is understood, once you are able to receive through your channel without any external reference point, meaning you are continuously acknowledging what's here now, and you just happen to open YouTube or Instagram, and you see that this is being channeled through others. Then you have a mirror. There is no need for validation. It is so, it is true, and so it is. With this, there is an understanding that you are ready to join a space of continual mirrors and expansion. With this understanding, allow yourself to continue dropping into the heart. And honoring that this was merely declared for those that were meant to receive it. Requesting access to all lines of pure octaves, those of vortice time reconstruction, reconstruction, rebuilding through pure tones and golden lines. Please declare, I accept, I receive. And please take a deep breath. And if you will notice now, even as I was speaking, channeling, there's already been a merge that was taking place. I'm sure you're aware of your physical body, but you should also be aware of how your physical body has begun to diminish. Maria teke shotai onda yetsiki oriumate sukute oriate ne urikate ende oriandete. Kiate yoshiateke. The capacity to receive is equivalent to the capacity of what is offered. You must be willing to offer and give and let go of all that has been holding you in a state of captivity where you are bound by words. You are bound by images. You are bound by the need of others. You need others. You need others. You need others. By that need, you are bound. When it is expressed as an invitation to join a space or a group. This is an invitation to answer the call of your agreements, nothing more. The agreements of initiation. For the councils are gathered, each council carrying a tone of initiation. There are also councils that are gathering now, that are coming together, understanding that these are meant to be long-term initiations. For you are always in dimensional integration, and you are always in ascension of awareness. Please bring your awareness now to your earth star grids. What you are receiving through your earth star grids, this is different than what you are used to receiving. You are used to receiving through the electromagnetic waves of the planets, of Gaia, of the matrices, where you were bound by the conditions and the programs originally coming in through the root and coming in through the crown. As you are expanding into your awakening of the soul star and earth star, there also must be an understanding that you must be initiated in through these stars, same as the heart star. I was recently made aware that when I guided my group through the initiation of the Rose Order a few months ago, we are being initiated through the heart star. We are continuously being initiated through the heart star, while we are also simultaneously now being initiated through the earth star and the soul star. There must be an initiation that takes place through the stars. Just because you have an awareness and can connect into the lines doesn't necessarily mean that you are accessing the initiation. This must be an agreement that is answered. As all things, it is intentional, it is accepted, it is received. But if you accept it and you are not receiving it through others, then you are only getting one aspect of the receivership. We will move through a pull of the earth star as an example, as a reference for this initiation. As part of the disruptor, calling into and requesting access to the crystalline diamond line of physical evolution, which is the disruption of the illusion. Toning and tuning. Calling and tuning forks. Earth star, dimensional, multi-planetary. You'll begin to feel a pull. Again, please declare, I accept, I receive. This pull, as you can see, I'm moving. Moving. My physical is the innermost in body. By the time it makes it to the physical, it has already been moving through the body of light, the astral etheric, and beyond through the soul star and higher. Same with the planetary earth star. In this case, we are moving through interdimensionality to come into the lines of receivership. Which are the magnetic lines of Terra, the Star Mother. Gaia carries a tone. Garia, 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 Garia. That vibrational tone is linked into specific octaves of old earth. Tara, 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 Taranova, Taranova, Taranova. This is also an octave, an activation. The Star Mother. We must also understand that the incorporation of new words are intentional. Maria se oriandia siandia 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 origa tiandia andia oriandia dia unda arianda da orianda da, requesting access to the ancient lines of initiation, the inner earth dragon. Darigate ori ashiate. Welcome Akindara. Akindara. Welcome, beautiful. Akindariateo shayandayo. Gadiateo siateo siateus. And as we are coming into this inner earth access point, I'm receiving this as a direct pure line from the Aranaki. Again, not identified as an individual. We are only using this momentarily as a point of reference for the initiation of structure. These Anunnaki lines are necessary because the builder lines, the original pure lines of creation, have been distorted. Therefore, those same original lines must come in to recalibrate, retone, and assist in ascension. This is the same for the rose lines. And those that are able will ascend and embody a higher frequency of planetary consciousness. I would like to guide us into an activation point of inner earth dragon. These inner earth dragon lines I know many feel these in locations around the planet, and there are definitely portals there. But in order for us to access portals in the physical plane, we must first be initiated from within the portal itself. And I'm feeling there has been many dragon activations recently. And this is a necessary point of receiving and understanding through the initiation through this portal. This is a reference point for initiations are continual. But I invite you to join and receive. Giateuria, Gariatoria, 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 Anda e sa e urik e. Please declare I accept, I receive. It was just 5050. Ariateu shandayu tayu 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 tayu. We're going to move through the vehicle of light. Tayakaru andushata. Moving in geometric form as shapeshifters. Toning and tuning to the ancient lines. Accessing, requesting access through the Mara lines, that which I am Sashamara. I am Sashamara. I am Sashamara. Entering through the Sophia dragon. Sophia dragon, again, not individualized, just of reference. Kudai. Rikete usikete oriandek indicate 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 say. And requesting access to the dialects of anchoring. Please declare I accept, I receive. hi, 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 ariete, hi, 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 ariete, 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 huh? Ooh, lots opening. I'm being oh, it's amazing. One of the sisters in the group had shared earlier with an experience that we had together in the astral last night. Akindara, I'm sure you read this as well. Um, where there was a dance. That was happening, and it was happening in a stance of basically like the warrior stance of qigong. And I see this now as to why this came through, as this is very much, shall we say, the geometric stance and the physical ariete ush that is happening through this portal of inner ariete physical going into inner earth interdimensional gariete uriate asiate 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 asa kut ar a satatai ari asatatai. For when we go through Earth Star, when we connect through that initiation, we are actually anchored in through the heart. And for now, I'm actually feeling this is opening up for many. Just this coming into this initiation of this inner earth portal is opening up heart, higher heart, throat, face, sinuses, third eye, all of it, because these octaves were necessary in being received. And requesting access to the codes of way construction, reconstruction, and the dialects of vibration for honoring, opening, and activating this gateway of receivership. Just allow yourself to take a deep breath in preparation of receiving. Now you will be filled up with a different type of information, if you will. Instead of being filled up with words, you will be filled up with codes. In order for you to retain the truth of that which you are through this activation, you must be willing to let go of any images or any definitions or any words holding captive through such a definition. You must be willing to let go of what you think Sophia Dragon is, what you think dragons are, what you think inner earth is. You must be willing to let go. In order for all that is to be received, to be reclaimed, and to be activated, you must be a blank and empty vessel awaiting receivership. And we will fill our cups. Again, please declare I accept, I receive, and with intentionality, where you are intending to harness your sovereign free will choice for expansion and ascension. Tuning and toning. Gurasha. 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 Sha. Sha. Gurra. 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 Sha. 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 Gurasha, sha, 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 gurasha, 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 sha, sha, gurasha, gurasha. Gurasha tatata adi 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 kuta arra ata a gurata sha gurasha 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 a shukuta arra anda a gurasha asha 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 gurasha 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 Gurasha, sha, 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 sha. Guracha, 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 cha, 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 guracha, 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 sha, 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 guracha. Guracha inda a 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 tuk a inda a. Feeling a lot of vibration and reconstruction in the face. Madiatorik arik indi usha ma ura umma ashai. Guracha ade e ma ade e made e made e gurak asha sha sha. Honoring these disruptors. Garak urik asha sha sha. Gurak asha sha 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 sha. I'm feeling where they are just completely disrupting information. I'm feeling where this massive veil, this collective viewing, Shukinde uriende sike makai inde sike matai arike is being disassembled. And I'm being guided to move us directly. We're going to move through the heart into Soul Star, directly anchoring into Soul Star to view from Soul Star. We're being pulled from inner earth through the heart into Soul Star back into heart. Requesting access to the gateway of activated disruption and inheritance. Please declare, I accept, I receive. I'm feeling that these are going to be some pretty intense octaves. This is definitely coming through the flow lines what we have been calling the feminine. But for the sake of reconstruction, flow and structure, flow and structure, flow, feminine, structure, masculine. Many have been forming a dynamic of understanding which was cut off from the true vision, the true viewing of consciousness from within. Many are thinking they are accessing, but the viewing is still distorted. So allow yourself to ride the waves. Ride the waves. Releasing as you go. Ride the waves, releasing as you go. Requesting access to the Ma lines. Requesting access to the eternal Ma Ra through the eternal Ma. As we move through the Ka, the body of light, we are already there and present, but you are going to notice even more through your vision, your viewing. Maraka, 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 Ka, Ka, Mara, 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 Ka, 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 Mara, Ka, 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 Inara, mara, vara, mara, rari, yatai, ya. Maraka, 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 ya. Maraka, 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 Ikashindara. Rikidusha Maria Tayoria 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 Maraka Siatayo Maraka Siatayo Miasia Miasia Kariatayo 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 Ario 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 Ariata Tata Ariata Tata Ariata Tata 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 at 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 And as we are moving, I'm feeling us majority up here now. Marakaria sataina indashi kia kuria ti sakadu. With a just major, super major opening in the heart. Dariyukuria ti maka, 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 makara sindara, makara sindara, makara sindara, mikara sindara, maka, ah, 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 maka, 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 and just find your resonance. Find where you are in flow. And just feel, and you feel how everything is opening. Your back might be popping, your neck might be popping. Everything is opening and expanding. We're just going to take a moment and rest in the space for just a second. The disruptor lines, the frequencies of purity, bring us into a space where we can receive ourselves through such feeling. And even as this is being expressed right now, the waves are moving. The waves have moved, and they are continuously moving and building and moving and building and moving and building, eventually penetrating and anchoring through the soul star, which will give you that view before we come back in. In order for this to happen, there must be an availability to move through crescendo, to move through octaves, to move through tones, to have a point of reference for the tones. Korea tia satai 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 maraki aka ka maka 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 ikara 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 makasa ikara makasa 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 sa sa sa. Rising a little bit further. And from this place, you can view all that you are simply by feeling. What you feel is what you understand. What you understand is what you experience. Marakari ashatak adu. Maka, makari, akara, akara, makara, akara, makara, akara. Please declare I accept, I receive. Makariatai, 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 ishandayura. There are golden dragons joining us at the soul star. Gyajodai shingayara. Makara kitai sikai, makai sitai, makai sitai, makai sitai, makai sitai. Once again, disrupting the illusion and bringing in the eternal flow, the eternal construction, allowing that gateway and that portal of all that you are to be upgraded, to rise and anchor into a higher perception, which gives you a higher experience of these lines. Requesting access to the Soul Star Initiate portal, gateway. Ooh, it just got really cold. Gateway anchor, golden diamond, crystalline waters. Okay, we're beginning to move. Please declare I accept, I receive. Soranasa, 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 sa, 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 Soranasa, Soranasa, asa, Soranasa, Soranasa, Sorana, sina, sina, sina. Soranasa, 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 sa, 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 soranasa, 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 soranasa,
shiki narasi. Soranasaki atorini akori nari si akori nani soriaki na siriata kinayu tiasini akoria sonanesi soranesi soranesi soranasa 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 soranasi soranasa soranasi soranasa soranasi soranasa ha 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 so na so na so na so na ha 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 so ha so ha ha I'm just taking a moment. And I'm just feeling it now. It's just all enveloping. We are fully present and enveloped in the soul star portal. This is your higher self. This is your higher self perception. This is how you view from higher self. In order for you to reclaim all that you are, you must be able to see and receive yourself continuously through the soul star, viewing from the soul star, being anchored to the earth star, receiving through the grids of Terra, and how you view those grids is how you grid. How you view is how you feel, how you experience, how you receive, how you offer. And of course, from this space, the wing space, the heart space is fully open. And all is able to pour in, all is able to be received. From this space, you are able to fully expand. Open and allow. Once again, just please declare, I accept, I receive. From this space, we're just receiving, 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 receiving. Receiving ourselves through feeling. I will move through some calibration anchors. I'm feeling like that's necessary for some. I'm pulling you guys, just anchoring you guys in, especially for those that are not necessarily used to feeling in this way. And then we will move it back into the physical, if you will. But although we're going to be moving back in, we're going to move back in again a slightly different way. I'm feeling. But first, let us move through the calibration anchors. There's a major shift that is happening through this today, and I've been aware of this since this began, since I went live. I first noticed it because of those tuning in and receiving our smaller amount, because we have shifted out of, we were already shifting, we were already there, but we have now come into the recognition and the initiation of this. But we have shifted out of a collective time that we were all gathered and receiving through. We are shifting into a new collective time that is higher in consciousness, that is higher in awareness. And we've been building towards this, just so everyone is aware.
We've been gathering in great numbers and building and building and building. And now the pillars that are here are anchoring. And we are there present, receiving ourselves. And as we come back in, and as I've been speaking, this has been anchoring you all as well. As we come back in, we're going to come back in simply into the pillar of light. That is it. Expanding outward from the pillar of light, because it is vital that this awareness remains. Oh, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Irene. And 11 viewers. So it is vital that there is an ability to maintain without always coming into the physical. And I will provide insight as to why once we move back in. And if you'll notice, there wasn't very many descriptions given as to any guides, any specific frequencies other than Anunnaki. This is very intentional. We are clearing words, clearing information. Of course, the dragons, but we are clearing information. Shoo, 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 shoo. Requesting access to the higher self umbilical cord. Requesting access to the anchor of higher perception through higher initiation. So wherever you land within this octave is where you are anchored within that higher perception. So please again declare, I accept, I receive. I also want to reflect, I'm very glad you put the 1144. This is a tonality of O2, or the eternal duality that we are receiving today. The eternal duality is the eternal unity, continual unity of masculine and feminine, or flow and structure within the self, and how that manifests, or how that is holographically designed outside of the self. This is why Mara, eternal unity of these lines. Mara, 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 Rakta, 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 bringing it in to the octave of anchor. Maria tu 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 tu, Maria tu tu, Maria tu, Maria tu, Maria tu. Just feeling the placements for all receiving. Ramaseno, 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 Ramasena, 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 Ramasena,
Rama Sena Rama Sena Rama Sena Rama Sena Rama Sena Rama Sena Ramasena ina era sodaina. Ramasena Ramasena Rama Ramasena 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 I ataki 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 layer 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 Radiata Radiata Rana Sena 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 Ina Ina Rana Sena Rana Sena Rana Sena Nasena Rana Sena 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 Kindayashi Rana Sena Kindayashi Rana Sena Kindayashi Rana Sena Kindayashi Sakta ah 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 suk 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 shukta kutirasya. Allow yourself to bring your awareness into the central pillar of light. Ranasinari Yakutai, Ranasinari Kushiaka. And from the central pillar, you are able to view all, physical and non-physical. Your sight is not only multidimensional, it's 360. You can see everything. Ranasena. Allow yourself to dial in. Ranasena ari 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 asa asa asa. Reverberating through the heart and higher, reverberating through the heart and lower. Sanai taya nai na ari atsa. The central pillar rotates on its axis, left to right, and moves up and down. More opening, more expansion. Dariandash. Anchor, Tarkish, Anmatir, Undashiakaya. Anchored through the Soul Star Initiate Access Point, anchored through the Earth Star Initiate Access Point, honoring that all lines are present, activated, and integrated. Ariatek ish, atik ish, atik ish, atik ish, atik ish, urkat, 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 at. All has been activated, all has been integrated, all is complete, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you for receiving. Thank you for receiving these lines. Ooh, didn't mean to do that. Okay, thank you. Thank you guys for hanging in there. Like I said, I know that these were not defined. And usually we have a tendency to
view our lineage as being linear, meaning if we think of the rose lines, we feel like we're just automatically connected into certain ascended masters or certain aspects of that. But remember, those that were incarnate through the lines, through the frequencies, they brought through the masters, the master codes of those lines. So what this means is, again, do not allow yourself to get so caught up on the individual. They just incarnated through the lines, just as now you are shifting into the incarnate lines of mastery. This is a part of the chosen mission. You're so very welcome. Thank you for receiving. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And understanding that it's not that you don't hold a connection to those ascended masters, it's that sometimes there's a focus of being so connected to the ascended masters, or so connected to the Egyptian goddesses, or the like Mayans, or whatever Arcturians, or that they're individualized, and that we get attached, and we continuously focus our attention on that line of connection, on that individual linear. And it's so much more than that. And because we are here for unity consciousness, we are here to be unifying all those aspects, all those visions. And the vision must be able to see all, not just one, not just linear. And if there is a continual attachment, then it does not allow an expansion within. So also why we were coming back into this really quickly in this way was that there was a recognition recently where many are still viewing, even when there is an acknowledgement that they are connected through consciousness. Yes, the viewing is not actually coming from a state of consciousness, it's coming from a state of information. And that information is still connected into what they have absorbed, what they understand. And they'll say, I am in consciousness, but they're actually reflecting information. And it's understood because when you start letting go and you start embodying, like embodying doesn't just mean receiving. It means, where are you perceiving? Where are you viewing from? Where are you emitting from? Because wherever you're viewing from is wherever you're emitting from. Yeah, Betsy, I actually saw, like, I was clearing my things. I saw where you dropped in the question. And so I wanted to just kind of address this because that was a very good question. If you feel that you're connected with specific identities of, let's say, the rose line, because that's where everyone is most familiar. If you are solely focused on the individual aspect, or the ascended master, or the god or goddess, then you're still viewing linear. Inheritance, or being a daughter or a son of the rose lines, simply means that you have a divine inheritance of the pure lines, the pure octaves, which means every single one that carries master codes, or your ascended master templates within those octave, or those light ranges, those light waves. Your mission was to bring those in through the ranges of unity consciousness, where as a collective, we come into the consciousness, the embodiment, the presence, the perception of higher dimensional viewing, which means we rise into, through frequency, vibration, octaves, not through images, not through linear attachments. It doesn't happen that way. Your inheritance isn't through the information. Your inheritance is the vibration, okay? And information is a vibration. I should restate that. Information elicits a certain recognition. Words do. But remember, you only know those words because you've inherited them through information, through books, through teachings, through others. Beyond that, even in your activated remembering, if you're only being activated based on the information you're given, it still, again, only goes so far, because that information is still coming from a place of lines that are conditioned to the information itself. So it is important that we allow ourselves to let go. We allow ourselves to let go of all this information, all the words. We are all children that are all here inheriting our divine lineage as well as our chaos lineage. We are inheriting both. In order for the chaos lineage to come into order and to be unified, you must be able to witness and recognize yourself through the initiations of consciousness. The only way that you can view all that you are through activated remembrance is through consciousness, not through information. So this is why I say it's that I was talking to a sister recently, and another reason why this was all dropped in is she's been on her journey alone. She left some of the same, we were in one group together months ago, but we left that group and we shifted, and I've been just bringing all that's here through for my group, for my one-on-ones and stuff, and then started co-creating again with other sisters. But in between that time, we were both reflecting that it was very important for us to be in the understanding of what we were here to receive and what we were here to offer. And she's at a place now where she's reflecting all that's here back, but she also recognizes that continual mirror having a reflection of octaves that is able to bring her higher in initiation is necessary, which is why she was asking about, she's going to be joining the group. And that's the only reason why I dropped that in, is not that it's not just about my group. It's not just about that at all. It's about a recognition of when we allow ourselves to honor an agreement through frequency, the exchange is very different. It's just very different. It's very different. So yes, let it go. Let it go. We have been bombarded for a long time with how our free will choice has been under condition, meaning we assume that we are given everything. So even when it comes to these lines, we all assume that, well, it's just we're just going to ascend, and it's just given to us, and we're just going to ascend, and everything is here, and we're going to receive it, and we're going to ascend. That's the condition of the mind, where we have been conditioned that everything is given to us that we need. But sovereign free will choice of this realm is intentional, meaning you intend to harness your sovereign authority by agreeing to accept and receive. And that exchange is vastly different. And when you agree, when you're not consistently seeking to have, when you're not continuously seeking to have things given to you in a way that is, I need you to give me information so that I can understand. I need you to tell me what I am so that I can understand. When we shift out of that and we can understand that understanding comes from our own experience of what we feel, what we receive, then the exchange takes on a different tone. And we just become mirrors and witnesses of each other. It doesn't mean I can't exchange and just reflect back to someone. If they have an experience of being a high priestess, I will mirror it back. Yes, that's the octave, that's the range, that's the line of time. But the question will always precede, what are you receiving? What are you choosing to receive? And then that will be reflected. And then the mirror just goes back and forth. So we're shifting in how we receive, and we're shifting in how we give. And that's what I'm feeling is taking place. And that's what's that's been taking place, through all of these gatherings where each and every one of you have been joining, and it's been so very beautiful. And these activated remembrances have been so very beautiful. We are shifting. So the invitation that I am going to leave everyone with here is to honor your sovereign, sacred free will choice, where you must intend to receive yourself, not intend to receive all the stuff that everyone tells you, which is a condition of remembering. It's going to be limited, but intend to receive all that you are through the feeling, where you're no longer afraid, where you're no longer afraid to trust what you receive, where you're no longer afraid to feel what you receive. And it is vital, and I had this in my notes, you guys, and it took me moving through this last and major, like, just supreme upgrade of mastery to understand it, especially with having so many of you beautiful souls coming into and experiencing this group space. Is I realized that the more that we gather together in these octaves, it's so incredibly powerful, and we are continuously reverberating the mirrors and the octaves back to each other. But when you have an opportunity to stand in your power in such a way, you will also have an opportunity to see yourself in shadow, where the excuses of unworthiness and I'm not ready and I've got so much going on, and what if I can't commit? What if I can't receive? What if I'm not at that level? That's your shadow aspect trying to keep you safe from being in your power. The truth is that you're always an ever existing and eternal power. You are the only one that splits you from that. You're the only one that can say, I'm not ready to be fully sovereign. You're the only one that can say that I just don't have the time to be fully sovereign. You're the only one that can declare that I am not worthy of my sovereignty. But the truth is that it always exists. It's just that you're not always choosing to be aware of it. And when you choose to be aware of it, and I'm feeling where there is a lot shifting and opening through this declaration, when you choose to be aware of it and you stand in a space where others are in that same declaration, it is the catapult. It's like being put in a cannon and shot through the cosmos and the universe, and just moving through dimensionality, and just everything is coming, and you're receiving everything along the way. It's not bombarding you, but it's right there. It's right there. It's right there. It's not like you have to seek it. You don't have to chase it. It's just there. As you move through, it's there and you receive. As you move through, it's there and you receive. So it's not like you're no longer like chasing yourself. And that's what I was seeing happening through these lines that we were just moving through, where people have been seeking others for the sake of trying to find themselves, and you're just chasing yourself. And you're remembering, but here's the kicker. Are you just remembering what you've been told? Are you remembering what you have been conditioned through? Or are you remembering the truth of your divine inheritance? Which there are truly not many words that can give you the extent of your divine inheritance. It is just dimensional. It is frequency. It is multidimensional. It is geometry. It is feeling. It is beyond words. So if the bulk of your remembering is based in words, and I'm not saying, like, I have journals of words, but I also have journals of just light, like I'm sure many of you do. Drawings, channelings, just light. And actually, no. Yeah, the majority of my journals actually are all just pure light and pure codes and pure gateway codes. My notes on my phone are words, and those have begun shifting. I've not been bringing through that many lately. And that's simply because there comes a point where you cannot transmit the experience of pure tones into words. It's impossible, because everyone is perceiving in their own true way, but it is limited by the words that they can put forward. And we read, like, this came through my group yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago. We were all saying the same thing. And finally, I was just like, oh, you guys were saying the same thing. We're saying the same thing. So let there be a witness that we're all saying in the same things in the same way, or well, in our own words. So then there was an invitation to drop it. There doesn't need to be that description. Like, there come a point where it was just guided to drop that. And then there was like this great pause for me where I just backed away just to absorb that. So I know now I'm expressing and speaking and there were words given, but there's a difference in absorbing information and just receiving, allowing, and letting go. And that's always and ever the invitation when you enter this space, you guys, is to receive. Do not feel like you're missing anything or that you have to remember anything. You're just feeling. That's why in that experience today, there was not many identity markers at all. It was just feeling. Because you cannot put words to a lot of these, okay? It's just not. We think we have the definition in the words because we know Arcturus and we know Sirius and we know Andromeda, but where did we get that, right? We got it originally from the star groups, but they can only give us an extent of what, and even, I can even tell you, even like Hathor and certain ascended master names have been distorted. I've never received it as Hathor. Hatna. It's a vibration. And it's actually not even that. It extends beyond that. So, it's time that we are more intentional. You're very, very welcome. Very welcome. And absolutely so much shifting. We've come to a point that we're very, very intentional. If you're always receiving from multiple channels, I would like for you to just dial in and see the intention with which you receive. The intention with which you receive. When I started stepping into co-creation, there was an intention there. We only brought this way of the rose remembering through because we had gone together through the activator remembrances ourselves. And this is a continuation of that for everyone, which of course, like you guys know, I've been bringing that through and they have been bringing it through and everything, like, right? It's just a continuation. It's always in motion. But even that is, it's such a beautiful introduction, and it's to get everyone basically going into understanding. And there's always an opportunity to go deeper. Always, 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 always. So my invitation is just to be very intentional with how you receive, what you receive. Because however you choose to receive is what you choose to give. Like, that's directly reflected through everything that you do. This is what like when my beautiful sister came and we were there, this momentous shift happened for her. Her focus was on the relationship and there was control. Like this, like, you know, my husband needs to understand that when he asks things this way, hang on one second. Sorry, that when the approach was, he needs to understand that if he doesn't hear me, or if I'm not received in this way, then I'm going to end it. I'm going to leave. And I'm like, ooh, hang on, my dear. That's coming from a deeper space. That's coming from a divine inheritance of distorted lines going back to Lemuria. And this actually came through in another one-on-one where a sister had an inheritance of Atlantis. Both were distorted, very, very much so. And I don't know if many are understanding that a lot of the control, manipulation, and projected control that they elicit through themselves is actually coming from these inherited lines. So, and absolutely, Betsy. A lot of times we're so consumed with the exchange that we're going and we're doing and we're exchanging. Like I said, this came through for her, but that's that inner child. Sometimes you say, well, that's just my inner child playing. That's my inner child having fun. But your inner child, if you're not really for sure how your inner child exists in purity, which is journeying through the octaves of it, like through the octaves of consciousness, that's the true journey. The physical is the innermost, last, and densest place of that experience. So if the shadow aspect of that inner child is still operating from projection, then what you're fulfilling is actually going to be through that projection, not solely through the purity of the inner child. And a lot of times this isn't recognized or understood because there's never been an exchange where that could be heard. Like there's not an interaction with a soul family or a brother or a sister that can say, this needs the vision, the view needs to change. So this is why I say having a space where that investment can be made is extremely powerful, or at least agreeing, even if you don't do it continuously, to have an experience for at least a month in a space where that can happen, because then you can gain. And the space needs to be a space of intentional receiving, meaning it needs to be a space of continual change. Yeah, a continual change, at least once. I'm not saying like all the other experiences, take those in, have those experiences and move through those, but that experience also needs to be in there as well. Because that it really like wasn't, it was pretty incredible. It was pretty incredible how intensely this was coming through, and through her offerings, how she expresses this was also present in like directing how someone sees. This is what you're seeing. This is what you're understanding. That's a commanding, right? That's a commanding. When you tell someone what they're seeing or what they're understanding, you're commanding or directing focus, which is a manipulation. Instead of allowing, which is an invitation of, I would like to invite you to join me in this perception. I would like to invite you to join me in this frequency. That's an invitation. Why? Because the person has to choose. If you tell someone, they don't have it, there's not a choice there. They might say that, well, I agree to exchange, which is true, but guess what you agree to exchange with then? Control. Which is why it needs to be intentional. So always and ever allow it to be in a space where the exchange can be free and flowing and understood in this way. And this is in any exchange, not just group. I mean, this is in any exchange. And also with that, it's not that we don't journey and adventure in the physical, but that is the last place that everything is made manifest. So if we are only taking a few moments out of the day, maybe even an hour out of the day, and everything else is redirected through distraction, where you have to be absorbed in exchange, you have to be absorbed in connection with others, you have to be absorbed in busyness, you have to be absorbed in schedule, you have to be absorbed in structure. That's a half, that's a need, that's a distortion of structure. True masculine only and ever steps into structure when the flow is present. So when you're in true flow is consciousness. You are on a continual flow, and whatever flows in, whatever flows out. And when it flows in, that's the structure of flow. When it flows out, that's the release of structure, so a new structure can come in. When you attempt to command and direct and control, then you're distorting the true flow of consciousness. That's why you guys know when it comes to my lives, I'm prompted, I drop in. There's no preparing, because this feels the best for me. However, there are templates where the structure looks a little bit different, and I understand that absolutely, where we schedule, and schedule is still a part of it. as long as we're intentional with scheduling. I feel like that's where we're starting to get away from it eventually, but being intentional with the scheduling and honoring that it doesn't always have to take place then, because maybe it's not meant to take place then. So as long as you allow yourself to be intentional and open and receptive, then that's beautiful. The biggest thing is that that's the biggest thing I'm hearing is we on the spiritual journey, we've been so absorbed with needing connection, where there's a hi beautiful butterfly was sitting right here next to me the whole time. There's two lines here at the collective really quickly, you guys, and this is, and it was just 1553311, which is 33355. There's a line of need and there is a line of flow. If you feel like you need to be connected and that's the reason why you connect, then you're distorting the receptivity and you're distorting the flow. When you step into an exchange, it should come from a place where you have continuously flowed into connection, flowed out, flowed into connection, flowed out, flowed into connection, flowed out. And eventually you will meet at an agreement of continued connection and exchange that is heightening the ascension through flow. It will not be, the structure will only and ever come in every now. That's how the structure will come. The structure will come in every now. It will not come boxed in. It will just be, that's how the meeting shows up. That's how it looks. That's how it's structured. And then you depart. That's the structure. It's different in every now. The seeking. That's what I'm hearing. The seeking needs to be released. And it doesn't, there's a very fine nuance here of just not connecting because you feel like you don't want to need, and then connecting too much because you feel that you're in flow, but you're still in need. It's a very slight nuance. The only way to understand that difference is to be continuously in connection with the pure lines. That's going to give you that disruption where the threshold becomes so pronounced that there is no question anymore. It's like, oh yeah, I'm only making that choice because I feel that I need it. And that's what I tell anyone when they come into my space. Because everyone that comes in, like, we talk, there's a personal communication before coming in, and it's always this recognition of I'm ready. That's always precedes. I can tell that I'm ready to step in, that I have been moving through and attuning and all the things and calibrating, and I feel that I'm ready. And because what that recognition of is I've arrived at a choice point where I am choosing to be continuously in my sovereign sacred authority. That's what it is. And it doesn't mean that you were never ready for that. It's just you finally became aware that you already are, and you're just choosing it, and you step into a continual reflection of that. That's it. And I'm just such an awe and joy of each and every one of you. Whether you're a part of that space or not, each and every one of you are amazing. You continuously choose to show up and receive and calibrate. And I'm grateful because those that have chosen to join have come from these gatherings right here. And it's simply, I just could not be happier. Everything. And it's interesting. I want to say this because I know money comes up a lot for all of us. When I all of the money that I had saved, I dropped into Bruiser when that injury happened. I literally have less than $200 to my name right now because I have not basically accrued everything back, and everything that I accrued went out, which is wonderful. I can't tell you how good it feels, honestly, to not be holding on to something, because I can see that now. Like I do have money that I have to send out and get that I still owe, but I know that that's actually, I'm in a space right now where I can view it from the higher, that highest perspective. And I can see all those flows, those lines are coming to me in the next few weeks. They're already here, but the way that time works here, right? We have to arrive there. But it's already here and I can feel it. And it's just so beautiful. And a lot of times people become afraid because they think of investments in spaces like that, or investments in bills, and if I don't have enough, then I'm never going to have enough, or I don't know how to obtain more. But it's always your energy and it's always coming back to you. And if you're always in a continual cycle of the same thing, like for me, everything that I saved went right back out, and it's the exact same thing that I was focused on. So if you're always focused on the same thing, you're always going to receive the same thing in return, and you're always going to be putting the same thing out. So you must shift how you receive. You must shift that which you receive through, and you must shift how you also offer that which you receive. It's always got to be shifting and changing, and it's always got to be a continual flow, ebb, flow, ebb, flow. Everything moves in, everything moves out. Everything moves in, everything moves out. Everything had to move out. The financial gain that was there, it was coming from a space that was focused, and still receiving from a place that, was coming from a place of control, like with Bruiser. So it had to clear. So if that happens for you, honor it, please. Don't be afraid by the fact that, your financial funding is not adequate. And if you feel like you have to have a lot of it, or if you have to have a bunch of like credit cards and money saved up, it's energy. It's meant to be in flow. It's meant to circulate. And this is why it's become so distorted, is because those in power hold on to it. And this is for fear of losing it, right? So in order for us to cleanse and clear it, we must allow it to flow in, allow it to flow out, but allow it to flow out with intention and with purpose. Allow it to flow in with intention and purpose. So thank you all for receiving. I know you guys have hung in there with me for a little while. We've had a good chat today, which has been really, really nice. I've really enjoyed it. Really, really, really. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As are you, my dear. We all are. Thank you. And it took me a while to, it took me a while to get to that point to where I was okay with it. This time last year, I can tell you right now, this time last year, I was just in that, I was in the realization that I was shifting out of a currency of fear into a currency of love. And because of this, I knew it was going to be a continual process. And a year later, I can directly reflect on that once that choice was made, it's just always a state of continual abundance. The only time it's not is when I hold on. And that's not abundance. So I've been able to let go. I've been able to stop focusing my energy in ways that were not abundantly flowing, that were just looping. And I've also allowed myself to step into things and experience things that I wouldn't normally. Like there are a lot of people that I connect with that travel all the time and do things all the time and are connected to people all the time. I'm the exact opposite. But this year I'm traveling, and I know that that's coming in. It's not something that would be on my, I wouldn't be doing it all the time, but things have to change, right? So I'm honoring that was brought into my awareness for a reason. That's so Shasta, and when JJ extended the invitation, I was like, yep, this is I got to step out of that comfort zone, right? So if your comfort zone is continuously being surrounded by people, understand that you might need to shift things a little while. And if you're used to not, if you've taken a break from being around people or been in groups, now it's time to come back in. That's always and ever in and out flow. And the only long-term commitment that should be there is your commitment of sovereignty. And if that is a part of a space, beautiful. That's, if not, beautiful. That's the one thing that I am grateful for, is that we are always together, always committed to that aspect of progressive ascension through sovereignty. So it's always, always, always and ever evolving. And I feel like this is where we're all moving. I really do. I really feel like this is where we're all moving. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for receiving. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you. If there's anything you guys would like to ask before we depart, if you would like any further clarity, please drop it into the chat and I will reflect. If there's anything that you would like for me to reflect on, I am here. I will be a mirror for you. So please let me know, because after this, I'm probably going to be putting my phone on the charger and putting it down for a while because it's almost dead. And I also have to go on to a handful of messages in my group space. But I would love to offer anything and everything that's here that anyone would like reflections on. I think, and Betsy, did I what I was speaking into about the rose lines or about the inheritance lines, does that answer the question that you dropped into Instagram? You feel that connection to her because that is a part of the same frequency. And because the divine inheritance is here through the rose lines, for those that are choosing to answer yes, then you will inherit those aspects of yourself that are within those octaves of light. And I feel like that goddess aspect was coming in just to give you a reflection of your what we would say would be the pure lines of golden Egypt, where that's being inherited. She's a part of she is more of a guardian. She is more of an overseer. So, but she is the lines of inheritance are just octaves. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, again, not negating travel, just understanding if we're not willing to accept that we always go and interact and are a part of things, and then sometimes we think we're doing it with intention, but if we're consistently going into different offerings all the time, that's actually can be a distraction if we're not aware of where the intention is coming from. So this is merely an opportunity for there to be an availability to perceive that sometimes there's also a misperception on what the inner child represents for each person, especially if you're like me, and Cindy, I'm about to get to what you said right there, especially on this journey. If you're like me, at the very beginning, I was invested in doing all the things. On the very beginning stages of my awakening journey, I was absorbed in everything I could be absorbed in. I was taking in all the information, all the courses. I was doing all the things. Okay? We get lost. We get lost in there because we think we're incorporating modalities of healing, but modalities are only and ever able to offer healing if we ourselves internally are reclaiming our inheritance of healed lines. So the modalities themselves don't heal us. The modalities themselves are just supportive tools for the journey. The only thing that heals is the integration of higher awareness, which can bring us into a higher frequency, which shakes everything up and allows it to reconstruct itself into a divine order from divine chaos. So we have a tendency to, I know that I did, I had a tendency to choose things because I felt like that's where I belonged, where I needed to belong, or where I needed to go in order to find that aspect of myself or understand that aspect of myself. but it never comes from outside of us. So the traveling should always and ever be a part of our line, our frequency line, our resonant line, where we go to a physical location simply to exist. So, for instance, when we go to Shasta, everything that is happening at Shasta is happening now. We are not going there to do anything. By the time we gather there, it's already done. We are just going there to exist, right? We're just going there to exist. And what we exchange while we are there is just a reverberation of where each of us are in frequency. So if we go to gather, it should always be with the intentionality of what are we bringing in frequency, not what are we going to do. Because if you travel just to go do, you're still following a line of frequency that is needing to do something in order to, in a need to experience something, which is actually, that's not healthy. That's still distortion. But healthy is the aspect of self that's already healed. So we allow ourselves to flow and receive ourselves in that exact point, and we're already in a place of vibrational alignment and have all that we need, and we're not going there because we need anything. We're just going there to experience. We're going there to experience ourselves. We're going there to experience ourselves in that location. Which actually, it's very interesting. That's still very much an illusionary thing, because true travel does not happen in the way that we perceive it. Even when we travel cosmically, we align by vibrational frequency, not by mapping distance, not by mapping distance in the way we understand it. So we're beginning to understand how we are traveling differently through frequency and how we arrive differently through that travel. So what the only reason why I said these things is because when I am receiving an offering through this collective space, I can feel where we all are, and I can feel where there are still lines that people are choosing for it's the same line that's been chosen. There hasn't been a shift. So that's the only reason why I mention it. And it's absolutely like, yeah, again, that's why I'm traveling, is because I haven't in so long. And I was called. The invitation was extended, and I knew immediately I was meant to bring that which I am. And it wasn't going to do anything. It was just bringing that which I am. And that's exactly how it's all unfolding. So I'm just dropping that in, and you guys take what resonates, leave the rest. Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful place, Cindy. Perceiving yourself from sovereignty is always and ever that should always be the choice. Absolutely. And we perceive ourselves through sovereignty. We can also perceive all that we are simultaneously, because our power is unifying these aspects of our eternal remembrance. So when we're in our sovereignty, we can perceive ourselves as, like right now, today, the perception was in viewing from a place of pure disruption, pure embodiment, and that came through the pillar of sovereignty. So moving through the viewing of Earth Star, Heart Star, Soul Star, in the way that we were guided. So what I would invite is based on what you experienced through the movements today. The invitation would be, how did I perceive that which I felt? How did I feel it? That's how I'm perceiving myself through sovereignty. And what did I view of myself through what I felt? And this could be something that impacts through you over the next few days, or maybe it's all here now. Even if it is all here now, it's going to definitely still unpack. Absolutely. Everything always, we always and ever are a product of that which we choose. But the reason why it is shared in this way is so that there can be, like, for me, I didn't have anyone in my field that I could receive anything like this from. No one was in my field at the time. And those that were in my field were about where I was, or where they were was still, it wasn't at this place of, because we're all in a higher place than we were 4 years ago. So the reason why I offer what I offer now from this space is because what's available now is an opportunity to transcend the way that we've always done things. And if we do things the way that we're still doing them just for the sake of the experience, then we're not allowing ourselves to honor that there is a higher available opportunity for experience. So I think that sometimes we choose things because we feel like we have to have that experience, because if we don't have that experience, we're going to miss out. We're not going to be able to share it. But it's not really about that. The reason why the experience was shared was so there could be a mirror and an understanding of also what else is available. Because where all is available in the higher, all experiences with others are already there for you. It's about allowing yourself to let go of needing to do things in the way that the mind is directing, or conditioning is directing, or just because it's available, you do it for the experience. That's the way it was for me. It was available. I felt like I needed to connect with the people. I felt like I needed to have that interaction. But the truth was, my most powerful interactions have come from this right here, this experience where we all internally meet, where we all come together. And now having an opportunity to step into the traveling aspect and bringing that into a physical experience is much more profound. It brings a new level of cooperation and collaboration, as well as co-creation. And the co-creation comes simply from the frequencies that we're at, not what we're saying. That's just a reflection. But the co-creation actually comes in, where are you in frequency? That's what you bring, not what you know. Not what you know. Not even what I'm saying now is what I'm bringing. It's just based on the frequency of where I am. So it's always and ever about where you are attuned. If you have to rise into a higher attunement because you choose to come into receiving yourself in a different way, then you bring more through your service. You bring more through frequency. You bring more, meaning there is not more in information, but more in capacity of light. That's the service. The service is the light, not the modality. And the modalities do give us an experience. Absolutely. I mean, I went through my Reiki master. I went through all my Reikis, all that stuff. But I don't use those anymore at all. So I feel that if you can understand an exchange in a more direct path of ascension, if that shows up for you, then that is absolutely, it's a leap of faith as I understand it. That's how I've always received it. It's a leap of faith. You will catapult your own ascension through that singular exchange more than the 15 others that have been there on a divergent point of experience. Doesn't mean that those experiences aren't awesome and fantastic and great, but you can also have all of those experiences unified into that one path where you all gather in that higher frequency. That, for instance, everyone that's coming into my most intimate direct connection point right now, I interacted with months ago when I was more divergent. Now that I've come together, and now we've all come together in a more unified state, it is intense, like intense. It's super intense. I mean, Betsy, I know you've only been there once, but it was intense when she stepped in, and Betsy and I have been crossing paths for a little while now. Akandara stepped in, and she's a part of the group, and it's been like, Alex and Stephanie and so many that I had crossed paths with, in that divergent aspect, now that we've come together in a more unified form, the way that we are catapulting is, there's really no description for it. It's amazing. It's amazing. Now, we still have interactions, right, with others, obviously, co-creation, co-collaboration, but there is an undertone of intentionality that is present where we are honoring our energy and our time and our interactions in a more conscious way, where we don't seek the agreements are extended. So if someone extends you an invite, that's something to be conscious of. If you just read something, or if it's spoken, take notice, but don't accept immediately. If it's spoken many, many, many times and you're continuously drawn to the offering, but you don't accept, then you're ignoring a path of ascension. So the invitation is extended in many ways, but sometimes we're so used to that instant gratification, where if it's there, we want it and we take it, and we don't have intentionality behind it. And so it's an opportunity to understand that we're just conscious about it. I feel the same way about you, my dear. Thank you. And absolutely, the experiences were of the greatest service. And now that they have unified and I see a more direct path, that's what I always and ever offer, is that if I know that those were fantastic and they were great and I'm grateful for them, I wouldn't trade them for anything. But I also understand that they weren't absolutely necessary. I just made them to be necessary. So, there's a difference. So I hope I hope all of this has been of service, and offered you guys an opportunity to understand and reflect in a different way, and to hopefully bring hopefully bring you to a place of pause and inward introspection. Again, it's something that when you're in that state of flow, and I recognized this yesterday, because yesterday was just a day of, I was in the astral etheric most all the day, receiving so much. I woke up and I had an immense migraine. I was extremely nauseous, and I knew today is a day where my body is not meant to be physically operating in any way. It is not, there's too much in the physical that needs to settle. By the time it gets to that place and I'm feeling it, then I need to pause. And if we're always going and we're never pausing, then how do we know where we are? That's another thing. That's basically why that pause of travel and interconnection was brought through. Because if you're always going and doing, then you won't even be aware of where the physical is directing you, since the physical is within the body of light. So yesterday I spent the entire day basically in bed resting. I brought some stuff through. I channeled some stuff last night, some more tech for the group space. I mean, like, I brought some stuff through, connected with them, but other than that, that was it. And I had these moments where I could tell, just for a split second, I had that echo come in that wanted to say, oh, you're not doing enough. And it was so faint, I didn't even recognize, like, I didn't even acknowledge it. But immediately I felt the reverberation through my emotional, the imbalance of that echo. If we're never pausing, we're never aware of what's passing through our field. So that moment, I felt that immediately reverberation, felt sadness, sorrow, grief, feeling lost, like I've not accomplished, something is wrong. Immediately, that was the reverberation. I was like, oh man, I projected that. I allowed that in. I acknowledged it kind of, but didn't, which reverberated in my field. So I felt it. That came through twice. It also came through when I ate something that wasn't like, perfect in vibration. And immediately I thought, oh, this isn't healthy. And immediately, boom, I felt it. I felt the distortion in my field to such an intensity, to such a degree that it was so recognizable and immediate that I was like, wow, I had really been cluttering. And before, I'm just talking about like just a month or two ago, it wasn't that long ago where I would have like acknowledged that and been like, yeah, that's not good. But then I would have just kept doing it and it just would have continued on. That's because when you're in a loop, you're like, yep, that's not good. I'm going to shift it. But do you actually shift it? No, because you're in a loop. The only way that it can be shifted is when you're in a new frequency, when you actually shift out of the accepting of it to begin with. So I was able to recognize it immediately, even though the echo is like so soft that I wasn't even for sure that it came through. I didn't even for sure I had to sit with it. I'm like, did I really did I really project that, or is this collective, or? And I'm like, no. This is me. It's me. It's always me. It's never just collective. It's me. So we can only recognize what the collective is reverberating if we're in tune with ourselves. So I accepted it. I received it. I allowed it. And then I said, okay, that's not what I choose. But if you deny it, if you just say, yep, that's not what I choose. Like, that's not what I was thinking. You actually have to accept it and allow it in. You have to allow it to come into the heart. So you have to allow that thought to be transmuted. If you just say, nope, I don't choose it, but you've already thought it, then you're denying what you chose, which splits the vibration further. Does that make sense? It's a super powerful understanding. You allow and accept that which you have chosen. And once you allow it and accept it, from that place, you give great gratitude and thanks. You love it, you honor it, and then you no longer choose it. After that moment, you don't choose it again. You have to honor that which you've chosen in the moment, because if you deny it, you're negating, which is the ultimate shadow of sovereignty. And I don't think a lot of people realize that they do this. They do it so unconsciously, because so much is in the field, so much is coming through, so much is continually done, and so much is continuously like chosen that you don't know. You don't know. I was in total silence when this happened. There were no thoughts, no emotions, meaning balance. It wasn't heightened to one degree or another. I wasn't like, oh, I'm so full of joy. That's heightened. That's an overexcited sensation. That's an identification. True joy is eternal peace. Eternal peace is prosperity. That's balance. So immediately, because I was in silence and just existing, I could hear the echo. I could hear the reverberation, the residual. So this is why I say, this is why I invite. This is why I invite. It's a very, very powerful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's a very, very powerful place. So, I wasn't in meditation. I was just in silence. I was actually eating. So, I was just existing. I was just existing and existing, just existing, but existing in silence and in balance. So I dropped that in, because that's also what we would say would be like walking meditation, where your eternal existence is that of balance, where it is not saying please don't misunderstand. I hope you don't misunderstand. Meditation is a powerful thing, but I'm also feeling where we're getting out of meditation, interestingly enough, where our continual existence should be that of a continual meditative state. It should be a state of continual vibrational alignment, continual inward turning. So if you choose to meditate and then the rest of the day is busy, think about that. You've had 1 hour of sovereign practice and the rest is busy. No silence. When we are in our sovereign sacred authority, we are in our power and we are witnessing all that exists in the now. Now, this is also a realm of experience through others, and I completely honor this. Right now, with the co-creation with JJ and Alex and Audrey, and this is also kicking off and everything, and even more stuff is in the works. But in between those, when there's not a Zoom call scheduled, when we're not dropping some things in, even we are, like this was even brought through. And JJ mentioned it yesterday in our chat, we are being, that was reverberated back, reflected, consciously choosing how to interact. Catching up, and not even really catching up. No, I don't want to say that. Dialing in and receiving all that's present in the exact aligned moment of choice, and that choice honoring that that's exactly where you're intended to be. That you don't have to rush to connect. If you're always responding to someone exactly when they message you, when you have your notifications on, when you have your ringer on, then you are eternally connected to needing to know. That's what I'm hearing. Yes, when we are connected to our eternal self, there's silence. All there ever is frequency. I will hear tones, I will hear dials, I will hear dialects. That's all I hear. The only time I hear words anymore is when I'm exchanging or when I'm prompted to exchange. Other than that, I don't have things that are just running through. I know a lot of times we say everything's in my field, everything's in my field. If there are a lot of things in your field all the time, that's the psychic, and it's excited, and it's information. It's information. There should not be a ton of stuff in your field all the time badgering you. That's the mind. The mind is always needing, connected, needing. The eternal connection doesn't have words. There are no words. Words are only ever chosen consciously and intentionally from the higher source point. And that just hit deep. I could feel that. And this is how, yeah. And this is how I've always, like when I receive, this is how it is. The words just drop. The words drop in and then they go. They drop in and then they go. They drop in and then they go. That's it. Once it's expressed, it's done. That's it. It was received. We're good. Absolutely. The tones are always there. And you can just dial in, and when new tones are coming in, I'll also hear it. I'll hear the structure line, I'll hear the flow line, and they are slightly different. And it's the tone line, the construction line is like, or the structure line is like, and the flow line is like, so they come together. And these are what's present. Like that's what's in my ears all the time. That's what I hear. And that's all I hear through my ears. I don't hear anything else through my ears except for tones. When I receive words, I don't hear them here. I hear them here. They come in here. So I hope this assists others. And if you receive in this way, just as a mirror reflection, if you receive here, if it's here, even if it's coming in here, I'm being guided to say this really quickly and then I'll wrap because you guys have been with me forever. If it's always cluttered in here, it's psychic, you're continuously receiving through other lines. Okay. And if it is dropping in through here, it happens in waves. It happens in waves. And it will come in the form of a few words, maybe one word, maybe a few words. It's a prompt to get your awareness. So sometimes I'll just be sitting there and I'll hear Syrian star mothers, Anunnaki, and I'll dial in. I'm like, okay, what's within the frequency ranges? That's just a reference point. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's the identity. Like it's not an identity. It's just a reference point. It just gets my attention. And then I move in, I feel simultaneously, and I request. Okay, so what is here? What is here? What is here? And then I receive. So dropping that in hopes that assists anyone. And thank you guys. Thank you for hanging in. Thank you for receiving once again. Thank you. I do hope that for those that posed questions, I hope that this was able to assist you and to be of service. I am feeling spiritual Olympics. I love that, Corey. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was perfect. Absolutely. This is spiritual Olympics. I could not agree with you more. Oh, yes, just popped my back. There was a lot gathered and received here today. And I can tell why, in closing, as I close this circle, why all of this came through. Every single thing that each one of you received is disrupting lines of choice and lines of perception. It was the intro that built the foundation. You moved through the experience and the flow of it, and it was solidified through everything that we've been discussing here. So allow yourself to honor all that was received, please. That's my invitation. To honor a new choice, to honor a new path. Well, honor the one true path. The one true path of conscious choice, which is an upward continual spiral ascension in octaves and tones. Honor that if you are called, if there is a group that has been consistently, if there is a mention of it or whatever that's been showing up, and you have felt that you're not ready or that you're not worthy, you are both, but only you can choose and decide that you are. It is not the space, it is not the offering, and it is not even the frequencies. It is you. Only you choose and only you receive, because you already are. And everything is there to serve you once that choice is made, in the exact way that it is meant to serve you once the choice is made. It's there to support and serve. The choice is always and ever to support and serve, not to distract. So if you're feeling that the choice could bring distraction, then you need to fill into why. Is it because you're easily able to distract yourself? Is it because the requirements of the space are so distractive and all over the place? Or is it because it's asking you to come into yourself and receive yourself in such a way where you won't be distracted, where you will actually just be honoring? And when you are honoring, then you are being supported. And there is nothing that is going to be taken from you, only given. So I will close the circle out by saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you all eternally and forever, always. I witness you, I support you, I honor you, I receive you, and I am eternally grateful for you. So thank you, thank you. Until next time, Adonai.